Right, you ready?
I didn't realize you were starting it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hey, welcome to the podcast about people whose mom died by people whose mom died. It's called No Mama No Manual. I'm Teeahnah,
I'm Brittany.
and we are your hosts. Today, we are talking about our identities and it not so much as like who we are, but like who we are
It
because
makes me
our mamas
nervous.
is dead. Yeah. And so this will probably stretch over a couple episodes because it's a lot of different ways it could go, right? When you lose a parent, unfortunately, you become the person whose parent died.
Mm-hmm.
And after so much time passes, it feels like it either like changes. No, it definitely changes, but like it either gets better or it gets worse. I think for
Mm-hmm.
me, I kind of been leaning on it lately. What year is this? 6, 7? I don't know.
It's set for you.
7 for me. Okay.
For
So
me.
I've been leaning on it. How's it going your way?
I've been leaning less on it. So we're going in different directions, I imagine.
Okay.
But
Say more about that. You've been leaning less on it.
it's just been less and less of my identity. It's like not the thing that takes up 80% of the room sometimes. It's just not as often. There are days. I still have my days.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I definitely still have my days. Mostly when something good happens and I can't pick up the phone and like call her, I'd be like, "Oh my god, girl,
That's
well, why
real.
would you not be here?" But other than that, I mean, it's not. It just hasn't been. It just doesn't suck as much room out of the air for me, or air out of the
Air
room.
out of
Room
the
out of
room.
the air. Air out the room. Air out the room.
Okay. Air out the room. Mm-hmm. So like it do you feel like it's not as heavy these days, like on you? Because I think the way we feel walks in with us
Mhm.
whenever we enter a room. And
Mhm.
so it could be maybe that like because it's not as heavy on you, it don't
Mhm.
walk in as big with you. Is that I don't know.
Yeah.
You're the doctor.
I think the milestones I'm hitting. I think I felt a sense of duty to keep my word to my
Mhm.
mother in a lot of ways. So like I told her, I would do certain things, particularly like become a doctor. And I think with the completion of like my residency, and I just feel like, okay, I did the things. Like I did what I said I was going to do. So it just feels less heavy. It feels like,
The
like,
weight of the duty to like
yeah,
honoring her legacy is
yeah.
lightening.
And so I don't know
Mm.
that it's any less grief. Like I still miss my mom. I don't know that it doesn't feel like I miss her any less. I just feel like I did the things, and therefore I feel a little bit like there's less of a chip on my shoulder. You know, I kept
Mm.
my word. You know, if my dad is good, I took care of my daddy. He doing all right. All the things I told her I would do.
Mm. I can see that being
Yeah.
a thing. And so maybe that could be part of the reason why like I feel like I bring it up more frequently because I don't know that I have fully gotten there, right? Because I
Hmm.
wasn't necessarily like or I was cuz I did. Like when my mama passed away, I was actively trying to be on the radio,
Hmm.
like in a
You did that
full-time
for a
capacity.
long
And
time.
I did
Yeah.
that and I did it for all of this time.
Yeah.
Um dang. Maybe I need like a new goal. Maybe I
Yeah.
need
I've
a
been in
new
that space
goal.
too. I actually
Mm.
maybe that's another thing too. I'm not sure I would have finished med school, residency, or any of it if I hadn't promised my mom. To be honest, I don't. I think somewhere along the journey, I was like, "This is abusive," and I hate it. But granted, I love taking care of patients, right? But it's all the other stuff. It's the finishing the notes after clinic. It's the, um, you know, when they call, I got to answer. I don't really like that because it's 6 o'clock. And so at some point, I may, had I not made a promise, I may have shifted directions. likely still in the sciences and probably mental health, and but maybe like in a coaching capacity or starting my own business type of thing. But I felt like this was something I have to finish, and I did it, and like she, I did the things I told her I would do, and it just takes up less space in my brain now. Like the WWJD is like, what would Jesus do for most people? But for me, it was, what would Jackie do? And
Right.
it is less of a it's less of a thing in my head because I did the things, and now I can kind of do the things I want. So as far as like setting a new goal, like my new goals are for joy. Like my new goals are like, I want to buy 70 bottles of perfume this year to make my collection prettier.
That's lovely, sister.
That's where I'm at.
Okay. So your new goals are for joy and you don't feel, is it that you just don't feel the heaviness in your workspace, or are there other parts of your life where you feel like it doesn't necessarily show up as big anymore too?
I don't know that I would have felt the heaviness in my workspace if it wasn't for the things I told my mom I was going to do, right? And
Mhm.
so I just think that the it has just freed up a lot. I just feel more free. And there's no need for me to like feel, it's just I'm not as heavy. I'm still sad, and the lady
It
could definitely come back because girl,
girl,
I could use your help, okay? But I
honestly.
just feel like, all right, I did it. I did it, mommy. If you were here, you'd be clapping. So
Uh-huh.
now I can do what I want to do, how I
Yeah.
want to do it.
This sounds like, that picture they show you about grief when like it's in a jar, and it's not that the grief gets smaller, but the jar around the grief got bigger. I need to
Hmm.
see if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll like
I
try to
like
put
that.
it
Yeah.
somewhere. But this is what that sounds like. It's not that like you're any less sad,
Mm-mm.
because girl, what the fuck? But like this is one of those moments I think people are uncertain they'll get to,
It too. I didn't think I would.
when
Wouldn't have seen it. Wouldn't have seen it. Would have never thought that. And still, not a day goes by. Not a day has gone by. Not a day has gone by since December 17th, 2016, where I have not thought about my mother multiple times a day. Several.
mhm,
I mean, it just hasn't happened every single day of my life I have. But it happened in that over time, it just became, and maybe that would have happened anyway. I think sometimes when you lose them, I was 25 when my mom died.
uh-huh,
I had just turned 25. I imagine that it would have happened even if she were alive. That kind of separation between what your mom wants for you and what you want to do, right? And kind
mhm,
of that transition into friendship. I imagine if she were alive, we would have really transitioned into a friendship and, you know, girl, come get your grandkids. Cause I'm real mad I never got to say that, right? Still very
mhm,
upset.
mhm,
Probably will be forever. Um, but I imagine we would have transitioned into that and it probably would have gotten less heavy, that sense of duty anyway. Right. Like
mhm.
our relationship would have transitioned. It was just that like I was doing the transition by myself because she had died. And so
Right.
it took a long time because she died, which is still wild to me because
Mm.
why would you do that? Why would you do that? I still ask myself that question every day. Lady, lady.
Or
But
like,
yeah,
do you got beef with
it's
me?
not beef. It
Cause
is
why would you die?
it's
I'm
like this
curious about
question
it.
of what would my life look like if she hadn't have died? I still so
Mhm,
like that still takes up space in my brain. Like would I be here? Would I have done certain things? Um,
mhm.
but I'm just not as, I don't want to say I'm not sad, but I'm not sad the same way. I'm
Different
not sad with a
sad.
sense of beauty. I'm sad with a lightness.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
And it's I want to call it like a beacon of hope for people,
Mm.
because we know so many people who are just now entering the my damn parent died without my fucking permission. And some of them,
Mhm.
maybe all of them, but some of them for sure kind of move with this, oh my God, I will never
Mhm.
be the same. And it's like you don't ever get to be the same, but like
You'll be all right.
it does get better. You will be okay.
Yeah,
Right.
you'll be.
And in a lot of cases you end up being better than okay.
And
And
if you keep that, but I think it's important to note that you can't, like, the stage you're in is the stage I was in, right? And you can't really skip the stage. That's the thing. You don't want to skip this out. You don't want to skip however many years it takes to get to the sad with a lightness, right? You
mm-hmm.
got to go through the sad with a side of duty because I think the lightness comes from the fact that I honored the sense of duty and I did the things, right? Like I genuinely feel like I honored my mother and I
Mm-hmm.
am honoring my mother. And that, what she put into the world, what her and my daddy did is a good product. And that feels good, but it took a long time to get to the point where I could feel like that because it was also trying to be that good product and grieving, right?
Yeah.
Doing it without her direction. It's just a very
Mm-hmm.
confusing, it's a conundrum of a situation. It's very, very ghetto.
It's
Honestly, on the list of things to experience in life, I rate it 0 out of 5 stars on
this
Yelp. Honestly, I would like to
is
speak to
one
the,
of them reviews where be like, I would give it negative stars if I could.
but I can't. So have the manager call me. Okay. It's terrible. It's terrible, but you can't skip the steps. You
You
just, you
can't
gotta go
skip the
through it. And it's,
steps.
it's hard though.
It sucked though. My
Yeah.
goodness, this shit sucked. But I guess the more I think about it, I, in a way, have been doing the things to like honor my mom too, from what I've gathered, right?
No,
Because
you definitely have. Not, I think.
unfortunately,
I just want to point out, I'm going to interrupt you here because you do this a lot. And so we're going to have a moment from sister to sister where I remind you that it's not that you think you're doing it, it's that you did an entire cooking series where you wanted to teach people how to eat healthier because that is something information that you wish your mom had known, right? Like you do it for Loretta I be doing it for Loretta. Loretta wasn't even my mama. Hashtag I be doing it for Loretta. So I want to redirect you in your language because it's very important that you take up space how you're supposed to. And you know, I want you to know that your mother would be proud of you because I am. So, you know,
thanks.
okay. Now you can finish your sentence. I'm sorry for interrupting you. My bad.
Well, this wasn't supposed to be like a crying
I'm at the point, remember when we first started and I was like, I'm not gonna cry.
one.
Baby,
Girl,
I
but
cry for fun.
that
I
shit.
be crying for sport. I be looking for reasons to take a soul bath. You hear me? For fun. Go ahead, sis. Let it out. I'll
Yeah,
join you.
I think. Okay, so when we started this, I was saying that I've kind of been leaning on it more, leaning on my mama is dead than not. And part of it was feeling like I did not necessarily accomplish a thing, like finish a task. And we talk about this off here all the time. Like some days I feel like I don't know what the fuck going on. And then other
Mm-hmm.
days it's like, no, the path is very clear. You just keep
Mm-hmm.
walking down it. No one else has ever done it. There's no like
Mm-hmm.
clear structure for the shit
Mm-hmm.
that is that I'm doing. I had a conversation with my godmom about that, but we could probably talk about it in a different episode. However, I think that my mom's goal for me was for me to do what I wanted to do. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
about, and so like your mom's goal for you was to become a doctor. My mom's goal for me feels like it was for me to do what I wanted to do because
Mm-hmm.
from what I've gathered, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
based on pictures that I see and stories that I hear sometimes, and I hate so much that we didn't get a chance to talk
Mm-hmm.
about this part. I think maybe we were getting there because I was in therapy at the time that she passed, and the therapist had me pushing to ask her questions
Mhm.
about her past so that I could heal my shit.
Mhm.
But from
Mhm.
from the time I was old enough to be able to say I want to try this, whether my mama had the money or the time, she made sure that I was able to try it, which is how I
Mhm.
ended up in dance class, ice skating, cheerleading, marching band, chess
Mhm.
team. Like I went, no, I was on that motherfucking chess team. First of all, the shirt came down to my knees. Okay, I could still fit the shirt to this day.
Because she wanted you to be able to grow into it, okay?
Sure, Jan. And and I went, my mama paid the money for me to go to Oregon to that super national chess tournament,
Mm.
and your bitch didn't win a game.
Okay, but you
Okay?
went.
She did not, the game I could have won, I let that little white boy offer me a draw. And I was just like, fuck it, hell yeah. You know what? Hell yeah. And then my coach was like, T, you could have won. I said, for real, I probably should have stopped playing around with that girl at the practices, huh? Mm. My mama bought me a trophy. She said, you know what? You came.
Hilarious.
So we'll get a trophy with your name on it because I don't know when we'll be back to Oregon.
Because you ain't playing chess no more. You hear me? She said
Uh,
she came, she saw she will not be back.
Babe, my mom bought me that trophy that meant nothing just because she, I was a participant. People talk a lot of shit about participation trophy kids. I was one of them. Get
I
me,
think it's okay if your mom gives you a participation trophy. You just can't
I,
have the coach and like other people giving you.
oh
It can
yeah,
be like
coach
an
was just like,
in-house participation.
I want you to stop playing around so fucking
Yeah.
much in here. Who's his name? Mr. Talaferro.
Oh wow, you got a good memory. Look at
I remember
you.
so many random things from elementary school, middle school, high school. Egad, right? Like I have no idea what the fuck was going on. But my mama was, you want to try it, baby? Come
Yeah.
on, let's go.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in
Mm,
my
that's powerful.
ability to
Mm-hmm.
see a thing, decide that I would like
Yeah.
to try it, pursue it, do pretty okay. Um,
Yeah.
I honor her in those moments. And
Yeah. I love that.
so I that's what the part of the reframing that we sometimes have to do when it comes to the way we
Mm-hmm.
are looking at situations. Who was talking about
Yeah.
reframing recently? It might have been like Kiki Palmer or something. But anywho, I think that sometimes there is a guilt that follows feeling less sad about the
Mm,
our or a guilt that follows being part of the Dead Mamas Club, like not being our leading card. Like it's not the first card we put on
yeah.
the table. And we don't have
Yeah.
enough time to talk about it right now, but I think that would be a lovely place to pick up
Yeah.
next. Um so we need to end with a question. We need to
Oh
end with a
shit. I'm
question.
gonna let
I
you
think,
ask it.
well, we don't even have to, it's not a hard question, but like in for however long your mom or parent, because I've had so many dead daddy club
Yeah.
people be like, fuck with what y'all got going on. So in
Join
the
the club.
time, join the motherfucking club. We have to get the club together.
The club nobody wants to be a part of. That's the
We
wildest part.
we gotta get the club together. But
We do. We need to talk about that offline.
the question, for as long as your parent has been dead. So first, how long have they been dead? For as long as they've been dead, do you feel like their death has become a smaller part of your identity or not? Or are you still like in the thick of it? That is your leading playing card. There's no like right or wrong answer because there's definitely no definitive time between like, okay, at the 5 month mark, it's time to go ahead and wrap that up.
Yeah.
You're fine.
There's
Um,
also no proof that it won't come back, right? Like, there
it
may
could
be a
come back.
season, yeah. Because there's other aspects of my life too where particularly parenthood. Parenthood is very interesting for me right now, and so there's no guarantee that it may not make a a reimmersion to the front. It might.
It very well might. But for now, I would like to know that. Like, does anyone else feel it lightening up, or is we still like, nah, girl, still in the trenches about it? Please leave your answers in the comments below.
And no matter where you are, pause. I be interrupting the shit out of you, but it's so important because these things be coming over my spirit. They be coming over my spirit.
Let the
if
Lord
you are in the trenches, it'll be okay. And not in a way to dismiss the fact that you feel like you're in the trenches, but just because, and I don't want to compare my trenches to your trenches, but my trenches were ghetto. Okay. I feel like my trenches were abusive, like physically assaulting. Like I felt them in my body. My body was sore. My neck was always tight. My shoulders were slumped. It was just bad. My trenches were not good to me. And I'm okay. And it took 8 years. I don't know where you are in it, but just be patient with yourself and don't quit. Just keep going through it.
Okay. Well, with that, we bid you farewell. Find us on all the things. We will link them in the box. You know where the box is. All right. Tell a friend and tell a friend. We're sorry that you're here. Bye.
Yeah, we hate it for you. Truly. We're so sorry.
So sorry.